Will Francis Ngannou fight again before Christmas? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to On Me Edson. I hope you're all well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So, Francis Ngannou, of course, we know has just come off that stellar performance against Tyson Fury last weekend. Now, all the news, all the talk is about Francis Ngannou. Where does he go next? Who does he fight next? Tyson Fury was supposed to be fighting Alexander Usyk on December the 23rd, or so it was suggested. But that now leaves a gaping hole in the December the 23rd schedule for the Saudis, because now Tyson Fury and his camp and Frank Warren, the promoter, kind of pulled away from that date, saying, look, he needs a bit extra time to recover from the Francis Ngannou fight. If he'd knocked out Francis Ngannou within a round, we probably would be seeing that fight on December the 23rd. But as it is, it's been pushed back to probably February, possibly even March, if indeed it even goes ahead. So what about that December the 23rd? Is there going to be a big clash there? Are we going to see a big fight there? Is Francis Ngannou going to get another fight? Who does he fight? Well, as I said in a previous video, Francis Ngannou is going to fight again. It needs to be a big name. He's 37 years old. He can't be wasting time now trying to get a WBC ranking or trying to fight his way up the rankings to challenge to a world title fight. He needs to strike while the iron's hot. And the way he does that is try to get matched up with another contender for the World Championship crown, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, for example, and see if he can match them in a boxing ring. But is there enough time for, let's say, the unprepared Joshua and Deontay Wilder to go into a 6 or 7 week camp just so they can prepare for the December the 23rd? It's highly unlikely. Now, of course, they could always find a heavyweight in the, let's say, top 20. But that's not really going to attract a lot of eyes. That's not really going to attract a lot of attention. If you watched my last video and I talked about the pay-per-views that was sold for the Fury and Ngannou fight, it wasn't as much as probably we expected it to be, but by industry standards, it's kind of what people were expecting. So if Ngannou is not going to be fighting a big name, it's not going to sell. It's not going to draw the attention. There's no real point in having it. And also, there's a real risk that a heavyweight who is prepared could school Ngannou within a couple of rounds, and that's it. It's game over. And the career and this little segue into boxing could be over straight away. Can he fight again before Christmas on December the 23rd? Or is it really going to be another 4 or 5 months before we see him in the ring? Again, age is against him. If he was, let's say, 27 or 30 or even early 30s, I'd say, yeah, he's got time. He could go into next year. He could lay off for another 6 months and just find the right opponent. But he's not. He's 37 years old. If he really wants to make a big step into heavyweight boxing, he needs to strike while the iron's hot, and he needs to get on the front foot to call out a big heavyweight name and say, hey, let's get in the ring and let's get the WBC or the IBF or the WBA or whatever it is to sanction this fight and make it so there's something at stake, a ranking, the right to become a contender. That's what it needs. This is what this fight requires. If he's going to fight on the December 23rd, he can't be fighting a top 20 fighter. He's got to be fighting somebody there. Now, apparently, according to Frank Warren, Zhili Zhang from China is injured. Well, that was news to Eddie Hearn, apparently. They were trying to line up a Zhili Zhang AJ fight as well. Deontay Wilder, is he ready? Could he just jump in the ring now after 5 or 6 weeks prep and go for that fight? I think out of all the scenarios, the one that is most likely is that Francis Ngannou does fight on the 23rd, and it's a Deontay Wilder fight. I cannot see him fighting AJ, and I certainly can't see him fighting Zhili Zhang or any other heavyweight boxer out there, because there isn't the name for the big draw. Remember, Saudi Arabia, they wanted the December the 23rd as a big, big draw. They wanted the eyes of the world onto that event. That event should have been Tyson Fury against Alexander Usyk. That's not happening now. Well, if Frank Warren has his way, that's for sure. So who can Francis Ngannou fight next? And it has to be a credible fight, a legitimate fight. It has to be a competitive fight. Deontay Wilder seems to be the only one that is willing to get into the ring with him with any kind of immediacy. AJ, well, I don't think he's even been asked whether he wants to fight yet by Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing, has been waxing lyrical about Francis Ngannou against AJ, but he hasn't even spoken to AJ about it. Now, they did have some kind of discussions about 6 months ago, according to Eddie Hearn, about a potential fight. But AJ kind of dismissed it because he said, you know, hey, I don't want to do an exhibition fight. I actually want to keep on fighting so I can challenge for a world title bout when one becomes available. And I don't blame AJ for that at all, because look, that's what he wants to do. He wants to legitimately go for another world title. But this could be the fight against Ngannou that puts him front and center in the eyes of the boxing world, but in the eyes of the WBC, WBA, IBF, as the #1 contender, or the #1 logical contender. This is what the promoters should be looking at right now. They should be looking at trying to put these heavyweight fights together as quickly as possible. Strike where the iron's hot. Because there's so much frustration within the heavyweight division as it is, especially with Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, essentially both holding up the division. At least Usyk has fought. Tyson Fury hasn't really fought. That's one of his big criticisms. He hasn't really fought enough and given enough opportunities to everybody else. Now, against Tyson Fury, they always say, well, there's nobody good enough to fight me. They're all bums. They're all useless. But you have a fight with Francis Ngannou for lots of money, didn't you? Well, why not have a fight with somebody else for less money? If it's all about the money, I get it. Then if you just want to do exhibition fights, just vacate your bout and just do exhibition fights, if it's all about the money. But if boxing is really what you want, and the titles are what you really want, and to be undisputed, then they've got to get that fight on as soon as possible. And basically, they've got to open up the division. They've got to free up world title fights. In the meantime, all the other contenders, they've got to get fights on. And they've got to sacrifice big purses here. They've got to stop going after the big Saudi money. They've got to go for the normal millions that they would usually get, and not the outlandish millions that they get from Saudi. We want AJ against Deontay Wilder. We want all the other top 10 heavyweights to start fighting each other. Make there be a race. Make there be a clamoring to get to Tyson Fury and to get to Alexander Usyk. That's what we want. Now Francis Ngannou has entered the mix, and it's kind of a catalyst to tell everybody, no, hurry up, come on, this is what we want. So if Francis Ngannou is going to fight against on December 23rd, I think it's most likely going to be Deontay Wilder. At an outside bet, it will be AJ. But if it's any other name right now, it's just not going to have the draw. So we've basically limited ourselves to 2 fighters that could fight Francis Ngannou before December 23rd. Is that going to happen? We'll soon find out. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But if you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And I'll catch you again in another video coming very soon. Bye now.